Hey everybody, Randy Bueller, joined by Tom Martell now. Welcome, Tom.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Pretty good. I feel like I might have got away with one there. They were certainly filling me in on the abrupt decay that could have killed my lord and sent my whole board crumbling down.
Yeah,
But I'll
that
take
one
it.
was pretty close.
Yeah, no, he played game one. I mean, obviously, I had the great draw in game one. By spending a turn on the wasteland, I totally put him on chops.
That's what Chris and Bob were speculating that you had to put him on that, which makes sense.
I mean, I
Uh,
hedged a little bit. I figured it was either shops or if it was some sort of creature aggro deck, but I wasn't anywhere close to land still. So I just had cards in my deck that I didn't want, and I mean,
sure.
I didn't go all in on my shop sideboard plan, but I went halfway, and it was wrong.
Why didn't you dismember in
I
game
should
two?
have. Well, I didn't have a wasteland for the Mishra at the time, so my thinking was I have to blow this standstill, or he's just going to attack me with Mishra 10 times. Like I didn't
Right.
think I could play the standstill game because even if I dismember the elf, I'm going to get hit by Mishra. Then I top deck wasteland, and I'm like, God, I knew I was going
You
to
have
top deck.
two dismembers though, right? So I think if you use one dismember right there on the Death Ray Shaman,
Yeah, I
even
mean,
let it resolve first. You can pop if you really want to pop it there. Although I'm not sure you want to pop it necessarily immediately.
well, like the second dismember doesn't do anything. I mean, like for me, the decision was, am I going to let the standstill be in play for 5, 10 turns or not? And I concluded based on my hand that I have to blow the standstill, in which case I didn't like I don't really understand his deck yet. Like I thought it would have more creatures
Sure.
in it. At that point, I didn't I guess I should have realized how few creatures he had as soon as he plays a standstill. Yeah, I should have dismembered. But I mean my thinking was, oh, I'm gonna have to blow the standstill anyway. I may as well wait and try to hit the Mishra with it or try to hit some better creature. But there's not gonna be a better creature. I should have just,
Yep.
and that was part of my shops plan, by the way. I had more dismembers in my deck. I mean, you saw me, I
Right.
had three
You
by the
do
end of the
three.
game,
Right.
which is obviously, I don't want three dismembers in my deck in that matchup. I don't think I want any dismembers in my deck in that matchup. That's part of him like bait and switching me on the sideboard. Yeah, I
Yep.
should have dismembered. I thought about it and yeah, I got all wrapped up in this can I fight the standstill game. And I think even if I'm going to leave standstill there,
You
even
can
if I'm
still
going to
just
blow
yeah.
the standstill, I should still kill the elf. I think
Yeah,
I,
you want to kill it either way.
yeah,
Yeah, that was my
I
thought.
agree. I felt pretty bad about that decision as the game evolved. And I mean, at the time, I got nothing. I had
I'm
to
not
fight
sure
a
what
lot.
have
I just think it
mattered
made
when it
sense
played
to me.
out.
What's
I
that?
mean, we all have those moments where it's like we had a thought process and yeah, which is not right.
Yeah.
I've definitely been there a lot. But also, I think it wouldn't have mattered in the way the game played out. I think you lose either way that game. So
Yeah, my only chance is if I do dismember the elf, then and then when I top deck a wasteland for the Mistress Factory, I can just leave standstill and play for a long time.
oh, that's true.
That's it's a complete fork in the road given that I draw the wasteland.
Yep.
That like if I had dismembered, then when I drew the wasteland, I would have wasted the Mishra and just played let's leave standstill and play and see who draws more land. And what probably happens is he builds up a full hand. I don't know if he's going to run out of land, but if he does run out of land, I can break it with an ancestral in his end step where he then has to discard 3 cards.
Right. Exactly. I mean, it's a traditional way of fighting standstill, and you do it more often in Legacy. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's definitely the way that
Not
you
that I
go
had
about
the
it.
ancestral at the time, but
Right.
after I drew the wasteland, I then drew the ancestral. So yeah, there was a fork where I'm kind of curious how that game plays out. And obviously, I haven't seen his hand. If he had a land heavy draw, then it probably doesn't change anything. But if he's going to run out of land and I can let him build up a full hand, then yeah, it would have been a totally different game.
Yeah, it would have. I think it would have been an interesting line. But that, and then the game two, I think what card to pitch to force is interesting.
Yeah, I'm still not sure which one's correct.
Yeah. So I
But
thought
yeah,
it
I
was
was
interesting
definitely,
games.
once I realized he had engineered plagues, I was certainly happy to have held on to my phantasmal image. Uh,
Right. Yeah, I thought you should pitch the 3-1 in that spot, but I think it's
hmm.
close.
Yeah,
I
I didn't
like pitching
understand
through
it.
and then casting the time walk right away.
Maybe. Yeah. No,
Interesting
I just
games,
really did not understand what was going on with this deck at that point. So
which I think is understandable.
part
Week
of the
one
advantage
against
he gets
the
he gets that edge for playing that deck. So yeah, like
yeah,
I said, I feel like I got away with one.
yeah. Unfortunately for him, he only gets it in week one, so I think those decks have a lot of shock value. But once
Hmm.
you have the exact list, it becomes a lot easier to play against them. So you were in the unenviable spot of having to actually navigate it blind.
Yeah, I pitched the time walk because I thought True Name would be pretty good in the matchup, but
Mhm.
before I knew about Engineered Plague.
Yep.
As soon as I find out about Engineered Plague, I'd much rather have a time walk than a True Name. Anyway, yeah, I still guess I still had in my head that he might be more of a creature deck, which I just should think as soon as he has standstill. Anyway, How about another match? How about a rematch of the 2007 Vintage World Championship? Flashback, what is that, 8 years? And it was Steve Menendian defeating Rich Shay, winning the Mox Jet original art that we've seen behind him on the cast from a time or two. This year, though, Rich is the one who's up a match. Steve won his first couple matches, but he's been on a bit of a slump. He's going to try to break out of it here.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to see. My guess, we're seeing Mentor against Delver against
Delver, you think Rich is...
Pyromancer.
Oh, Pyromancer, 3 in a row?
I mean, these guys stick to the deck they think's best, and I
Yeah.
think that's certainly a reasonable strategy to take.
You're not the first one I've seen predict that Menendian would stick to mentors and try to continue trying to make the mentor deck work. We'll get down to the match, see what they are up to.
Yeah, I'd be actually surprised if Steve's not on Mentors here. Ooh, Rich moved to Oaths.
And he did move to Oaths. Yeah, I thought Oath might be decent.
Yeah, I thought you actually might be playing Oath Storm, but you've moved off of that permanently?
Well, I don't like Dark Ritual decks in a Mental Misstep metagame, and I don't like Oath decks in a Grafdigger's Cage metagame. So I think Oath, like the biggest problem with the Oath deck has been solved by this Show and Tell tech, but like I have no experience with an Oath Show and Tell build and didn't really have a list that I liked. I tried the LSV one from last set, and it felt a little, I don't know, it had too many bad cards in it for my tastes.
Sure.
Too many cards that are bad in individual.
Contextually, yeah. On their own. Seeing here, so I'm actually pulling up. I want to see Steve's last version of this deck because I remember I thought he wasn't playing the full set of preordains, but maybe I'm misremembering.
Is this Mentor yet though? There's no white mana. It looks like it's retreated back to Delver, which is really Pyromancer.
We will see. I still have my suspicions. Steve, I don't think gives up so easily.
Volcanic, Scalding Tarn. For the second Scalding Tarn tells me there are no Tundras in the deck. I stand corrected.
Yeah, wow. I mean, knowing Steve. So also keep in mind, I mean, Steve probably tests more than. I don't want to speak for everyone, but Steve tests a ton for this, right? And so I think if he tested a ton and concluded that Mentor was the right deck to play last time, I don't think that would change based on the the 9 matches that played out. Well, here we see. I like this actually playing the Mentor, which I think is one of Steve's playstyle issues he struggled with. I think is that he can try to be too reactive.
Yes.
So I like this play a lot, although it's obviously not going to resolve here. Probably pitch Misstep, I guess. This could go really poorly for Steve because he's... Well, no, knowing him, he's not going to fight. He's going to let it get countered. And then he'll just pass and keep his misdirection up. And then then Rich could get blown out by Recall, but he'll probably just Brainstorm.
You think Menendian could misdirect an Ancestral? Is that a thing that happens?
I mean, because everyone knows his proclivity for that card, I'd be, oh, well, here we go.
Oh, wow.
Rich walking into it.
Respond with the Ancestral. Rich does, to be fair, have
a
backup.
Yeah, but now the Mentor's going to resolve. Like, I really don't like this line. Because if he just untaps, he can just play a second land and have Flusterstorm up too. So I'd much rather just play Brainstorm here.
Yeah, I see your point. Brainstorm might be better than Ancestral.
And then if he counters it, who cares?
If he draws a Force of Will off this, and his Ancestral is going to resolve, I mean, that's certainly good news. If he hits a Force of Will here, he's golden. Does not hit a misdirection.
Right, and now all of a sudden he could just lose to this Mentor. I think this is a little bit too aggressive from Rich.
Also, if he's got to be on Oath with the Forbidden Orchard in his hand. If he can just find an Oath, that should beat the Mentor. Like his opponent has done in the favor of playing a creature.
And yeah, having a Black Lotus obviously helps with that too.
Right.
Let's see, he drew Mox Emerald for the turn. Can't quite see it. It looks like there's a misstep in there, which is obviously not what he wants to see at this point against that.
And we get a dig off of that, it sounds like.
That's huge, because obviously he can just Lotus Dig here, most likely.
Yeah, he can even reshuffle beforehand.
He can even Thoughtseize too, to put another card in the graveyard if he wants. Just to make sure that there's no spell in hand for Steve.
That's true, and that Mentor's not that scary if Steve has no spells.
Right. The thing, though, I mean, that really impressed me with the card Mentor is just how quickly it spirals just from top decking a cantrip.
Agreed.
Right. We saw Steve do that to me in one of the games where, he just chained 2 cantrips and I just died out of nowhere. So I think you have to respect the card for that purpose.
Oh, wow. Did Rich pitch the Flusterstorm to the Force of Will? instead of the misstep.
Yes. Surprising. I guess it makes some sense because if he's tapped out and he wanted a way to interact again that turn, for instance, if he's afraid of the card Pyroblast, it makes a lot of sense to do that.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
actually, I like that line from Rich. I think he pitched the right card.
Yeah, okay, I'll buy that.
Although here he put back. Interesting. So he put back his orchard,
Mhm.
which means if he draws Abrupt Decay off this dig, he can't just kill the mentor. He needs to leave it in play now, which is a little scary. Probably not too bad. You let it make one counter, then you just kill it, and you can definitely race a 1/1. But I think it's an interesting line here. Huh. Doesn't Thoughtseize.
Doesn't Thoughtseize is interesting.
I don't like that line.
Well, what I guess maybe what card is Steve going to be holding there?
He needs to be holding Cruise or Dig. He only had one
Yeah.
mana up and 6 cards of Jard. Like,
He could also be holding a Force of Will. Well, Steve did not draw the cantrip that he wanted. Well, he just wants to draw any cantrips.
yeah, any cantrip at all, and he's going to be in okay shape here. If that card's a preordained, I think he's right back in this.
Yeah,
Although
he's
we
off
obviously
the races.
preordained won't resolve, but
But he still makes a guy. Triggers prowess.
looks like so far Steve might be playing the same list as last time. He did have the 4 preordains. I was just misremembering. I wonder if he changed his flex slot. So last time he played one Stony Silence, probably based on who he's playing. He could easily flex that to something else, which is I think kind of a cool aspect of this dynamic. Which I'm trying to look up, but there we go.
Now it's Thoughtseize time. Hilariously, he gets rewarded by hitting a spell that he wouldn't have hit previously.
And potentially relevant if he puts a Grizzlebrand into play here. Huh, he didn't end up turn dig. I guess it's fine. I mean, he could just main phase the dig right here.
He also look at his Black Lotus is also letting him hardcast Force of Will or Misdirection.
True, but he has so many like blue spells that he doesn't care about at this point against a spell his hand. I think it's much more important to get Philosophy and try to end the game.
So you sack Lotus for blue.
Oh yeah,
with a
definitely.
Blue
because like the second misstep here does so little that you don't mind pitching it to a Force of Will versus being able to cast the dig right now. Like that dig's so huge. Yeah, I like this play from Rich a lot.
Yeah, he agrees with you.
I think in general, well, he spent an extra blue mana on it, I think.
Interesting. He's leaving his Black Lotus in the graveyard, so maybe he's got Yawgmoth's. Yeah, he does. He has Yawgmoth's Will on this list.
He finds the Oath here, though, which is what he really cares about.
Sure.
But even if he has Oath, shouldn't he leave Ancestral, not Lotus? If he's going to leave something?
I mean, they're both good. If you have Yawgmoth's Will in your deck. So Rich took Oath of Druids, Yawgmoth's Will. Not a bad dig through time.
No, this is probably over here. Especially with all the counter magic to protect it. Like, you gave. Ooh, Steve has.
Rich is digging through 1998.
Yeah.
Maybe no, 1997. Both those cards came out in 1997.
So Steve's playing both Mentors and Pyromancers here.
Okay, that makes sense. It definitely seemed like a more red-heavy mana base than what we saw from him last week. Sure.
I mean, last week he was playing 4 Scalding Tarns and 3 Volcanic Islands, so I don't think it's really different necessarily.
Okay. I guess I'm just misremembering. These cards do seem like they should be friends.
Absolutely, yeah, I definitely agree with that statement. They make a lot of sense. Like, you should just really pile on the synergies. Be easier to see if he's playing. So the card that he wasn't playing last week was Gataxian Probe. That surprised me. My guess is if he has both of these, he's playing 4 Gataxian Probes.
But meanwhile, the thing that's really going on that matters here is Oath of Druids. Oath of Druids is going to allow Rich to flip cards. We'll get to find out what his creature set is. To the surprise of absolutely no one, it's Grizzlebrand coming into play. Gigantic, 7/7 flying lifelink. Oh, by the way, you can pay 7 life to draw 7 cards. Although I don't think Rich is interested in that ability this turn.
Agreed. Oh.
Never mind. He just
corrected.
snaps it off, goes straight down to 5, fills his hand with a bunch of stuff. I mean, he had 6 cards in his hand, and
yeah, interesting.
Threw a show and tell.
He also played 2 Grizzlebrands, where we saw Luis only playing 1 copy, and he had an Emrakul.
Right. If that was an Emrakul, you could show it into play, but you're not going to show down a Grizzlebrand. They are legendary.
Maybe he's playing just one of the older versions that isn't playing with Omniscience,
Right.
is my guess.
That makes sense. Interesting. I'm surprised he drew those cards.
I mean, Steve has no cards in hand, and you have so many counterspells that it kind of he's just trying to find time walk to end the game. I think it makes sense. Like, there's nothing Steve can draw here that's relevant this turn.
I guess that's true.
And so next turn you'll get to gain another 7.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you
But
find
only
time
if
walk,
you
you win.
attack, right?
Right, but you're definitely attacking here. I mean,
Sure.
that's his plan. So he's just trying to find in this spot too. He can just what did he reveal to the will? Because he has will in his hand and he oathed. Maybe he
Yep.
flips up an oath that is relevant here.
It wasn't a lot of cards.
And he discarded the other Gristlebrand. I'm not sure I like that actually. I kind of liked attacking with this Gristlebrand and then showing the other one in.
That way you have him on defense. That's
Yeah,
fair.
that was the line I wanted to take, but that line's no longer an option. He discarded all the relevant cards. So we'll see, does he have another creature in his deck to oath up? If he doesn't, he can still oath here and just probably playing Memory's Journey. Like I think a lot of these lists play that don't have the Omniscience package. And then he can just journey back in the Time Walk, draw 7 time, or he won't be able to draw 7, but then he can just try to brainstorm or something maybe.
Sure, yeah, if he has a Memory's Journey.
But he did not activate oath, so his only creatures are these 2 Gristlebrands.
Should still be fine.
Yeah, I mean, given the counter spells he has here, and I think he'd be a little bit better served if he'd kept that show and tell Gristlebrand right now, so you just drop another one and pop it into play.
Mm-hmm.
But he could still just cast Yawgmoth's Will here, cast another Dig Through Time, play a Lotus. I mean, and almost certainly find Time Walk that way. So I think he'll just cast Yawgmoth's Will here. Sort of, if he's playing Mana Crypt, he's casting it. I like this line a lot from Rich. This should put this game away. Also, I like, yep, then there's the Time Walk. So he can just walk here. Oh, like I said, he also has Time Vault Key. So he'll end it that way.
Yeah, Alt Key seems even better.
So this is probably very similar to the list that Bob played season 1, right? If I remember correctly.
Bob definitely had Oath with Grizzlebrands to find Vault Key. No combo, just Vault Key with Yawgmoth's Will. I wonder how many show and tells he's got and how those are. Did Bob have show and tells?
Probably 2. I'm actually pulling up. So I have a list built that I played, Lord knows how long ago. I think I was playing 2, which is the old stock list. Who knows how it's been updated since then?
Yeah, sure. So Chris Pakula actually raised an interesting question on the chat. With your Rich Shay, do you show Menendian that you have Vault Key?
I think so. Like, he can't really. Maybe not. You're winning that game basically 100% of the time.
That's the point. You give him a little more information about what you're up to. Looks like there's 3 show and tells in that list, by the way.
Okay. I wonder, do you know if he's playing Jace? Or what the current list plays?
Oh, and there's 3 Grizzlebrands in there, too.
Wow. That is a lot of demon-y goodness.
There is a Memory's Journey.
Okay.
So maybe not activating Oath that last time was partially a desire to keep his deck secret.
Sure.
Yeah, a couple Misdirections, a couple Flusterstorms. Black is for Vampiric.
Demonic and Will, yeah. And maybe some number of replicate. So the list that I'd played, just the reference I have from my experience was I played a couple of Mana Drains and a couple of Jaces and a Gaia's Blessing, but it's I think a pretty similar list probably the way it plays out.
Yeah, I don't.
My guess is this matchup's really good. Is my guess for him.
Yeah, this matchup should be great, I would think.
And I mean, I like that from Rich. I mean, showing the ability to flex based on your opponents. I think it's easy to get pigeonholed in the decks that you typically play. And I know Rich has been pretty consistent, but here showing the ability to adjust, and I think that's great. Looks like his other opponent's going to be Dave and Luis, which will be interesting. I'm not sure that's the trio where I'd want to be on Oath.